somebody said, yeah, can you talk more around developing your audience? So I call this fishing, okay? So I talk about ponds and fish because it's easy to relate to, and it distances yourself a little bit from the person side of things into, it's a metaphor, you can get the idea. So, fishing. So I'm going to come back to where all this sort of thing starts with. Who is your ideal customer, okay? If now you're needing to fish in a new pond, why are you needing to fish in a new pond? Is it because you've used up all the resources in that pool? Everybody knows, everybody's already bought from you, everybody's already a fan? Or is it the fact that actually that pool isn't suitable anymore? So I was talking to somebody early doors this morning around their audience. Their audience is massive. They're a very, very popular person. They're very trusted online. They've been online for some time. They've built up a really good reputation. And their problem is that their pool of customers right now hasn't got the money to justify using their services, and so they're in a position where they're like hands up. They have other bigger priorities right now, and I totally get that. If that is the case, then you're fishing in a different pond because the pond that you're currently working in isn't suitable. It isn't actually your ideal customer at this point in time. The world has changed somewhat in the last few weeks. Some people who were in really good positions, who had a decent customer base, have lost that customer base overnight for the time being. They're not going to have the resources. They're not going to have the time, the energy, the inclination to use you. So are you looking in a different pool because that where you are now and your customer base has changed, or are you looking at it because everybody knows you and you need to find more people? Going with the first one, you've exhausted all your resources because you spent a lot of time putting your effort into one area, one group of people. Well, then look who your ideal customer is in both situations. Looking who your ideal customer is. What do they want? What interests them? Where do they hang out? Where might they hang out online? Where might new people who are coming online now hang out? It is a trial and error. It is looking at your current customer base and thinking, okay, where did you come from? Where do you guys hang out? It's really decent market research you can get from speaking to people who have currently used you or people who've used you in the past, and find out, how did you find me? Where do you hang out? Who do you listen to? Where do you go for resources? How do you make decisions? The more you can know your ideal customer, the better understanding you can get of where to find them. It doesn't have to be down to stalker level of breakfast cereal and things like that, but understanding their lifestyle, their interests can really help you get in front of them in the less known places. There are loads and loads of groups out there, and I know the person which asked me this on the feed. They do networking, expanding that network, going beyond. Now you're online, and people are doing online networking. Actually, you can go beyond that geography. So how do you find people within that geography? Where do your current customer base hang out other than where you found them? Doing that, understanding them better, you can get a better understanding. So that's what I would do to find new pools, is look at, okay, what else, where else can they hang out? What else are they interested in? And go from there. Ask your current customers is always a really useful thing to do. It is trial and error. It does take time. It's getting into groups and thinking, are these people, my sort of people, putting out content, making friends, like how many times I always put this out, all those people out there who are thinking, I need to grow my network. I'm not getting the interest and the traction that I used to get on my posts on my personal profile. How many people are you adding to your personal profile? If you're not adding people, how many people do you have? You can look at the number of people that you have on your profile, and you can look at the number of people who bought from you. You can work out what percentage is already converted. And when you're getting into knocking on the door of double figures, then yeah, I'm not surprised that you're really struggling. You need to keep feeding that pool of people on your personal profile. This personal profile, I use it for work all the time. Yes, I was resistant to it to start off with, but it gets to the point where, you just have to accept that if you're going to do business on this platform, then, you've got to embrace it. So keep adding new friends, keep finding new people, keep looking into groups where people might have similar interests, put out value posts, see who engages with them, engage with them back. If they're liking what you do, if they're agreeing with what you do, if they're wanting more information on what you do, then go for it. You have to look at my profile to see what I do when I'm putting out different case studies, different bits of information. The same with the agency, the same with Martin's profile. It's all about giving people information and seeing who's interested and who interacts with it. So that would be that one. Looking on profiles and seeing who looks like, who appears like, who based on their profile looks like they're your ideal customer. I appreciate a lot of face value stuff, quite superficial, but actually over time you can get pretty good at this. I remember back in the day when we did food subscription box and we were at food events, you could see as people walked over to the stand if they were your ideal customer or not. You can do that online, it just takes more time. So the second type of person is your current pool just cannot afford you. They don't have the resources, they don't have the demand because their customers have disappeared. You're therefore looking for different customers who, yes, they're like your ideal customer, but the big difference is right now their businesses are doing well still, and they are bringing in customers, they are bringing in revenue. So look at what has to be different about that customer. What market do they have to be in, or what sort of person do they need to be, and go again exactly the same thought process as the fishing into different groups, looking at actually, okay, what do they need to be into then, what do they need to be interacting with, getting into groups, putting out content, interacting with people, getting into going out and connecting with people. So you've got suggestions. Facebook's always throwing suggestions at you with people who you might know or might have something in common with. Go with some of those suggestions. Look who is already working with you, look who their friends are, look who their connections are, and go that way. Yes, it is quite it's quite hustly. It's putting in a real effort, but that's what you have to do. You can't just sit there, create something and be like, oh, now I've made it, now come on people, come. People have to find out about it, they have to get to know you, they have to get to like you and trust you before they'll buy from you. Expecting your customer to do all the effort would be like meeting somebody and expecting them to make all the effort and do all the running around. It would end up being a very one-sided relationship. And when you've both got equal amounts to gain from the relationship, why should they bother? If your competitors are making more of an effort, if your competitors are getting in front of them more, then they're just going to go with them, and quite rightly so. So put the effort in, find out where they are, understand your ideal customer. All this lot comes back to, like, time and time again, I'm speaking to people at the moment who the biggest problem that they're experiencing is that they don't know their ideal customer. And so business came and that was okay. And they never really needed to look into it. It was just, they always had enough money to be ticking over, nothing crazy. But all of a sudden, those leads have dried up and they don't know where to get any more because they don't know where they were coming from in the first place. This is a real wake-up call to get you to understand who is interested in what you do, and how can you help them and how can you work with them. So I hope that's been helpful.